Great, thank you. So hi, everybody. My name is Pip Stuart, and I'm going to be giving a talk about the year 2021, and the theme is blackjack, since 21 is so tightly associated with the game of blackjack, the gambling casino game usually. So I have a couple things that I wanted to try to explain and be disclaimers to get out of the way early. I have very little experience giving talks. I've given 2 lightning talks at 2 past Perl conferences, and most people pointed out that I have a high tendency to use profanity, particularly when I'm nervous or stressed out or uncomfortable. So hopefully that won't be too offensive to anybody if I start cursing, because it's part of, I have bipolar disorder, and I've been on disability for 11 years. And part of it is that I use a lot of profanity because it happens when I'm stressed. So please forgive me for that, and don't take offense to it. It's not meant to be offensive, but it's one of my coping mechanisms apparently, or something. So that's one thing. Just wanted to prepare you for that. In mania and hypermania, often I curse a lot, and some of my code is also using curses. So that's kind of funny. And also last year I had some mania and a joke at the end of my credits, and that caused me not to be on the website either. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this year. I'm gonna try to be family friendly, but that's hard for me. Then the last thing is that my Octology code is on GitHub, and it's not ready for prime time. Please don't use it in a production environment. If anything's mission critical, keep my code away from it, because it's poorly tested. It serves its function. Almost all of the code runs and achieves what it was designed to, but there are certainly bugs, there are certainly shortcomings, and poor documentation and security issues very likely. So please, it's version 0.0 right now, to mean that it's not even in an alpha state. Like it could almost be alpha sometime soon, but please just audit it carefully if you want to try to run any of it, and don't do it in an important situation, unless it's well understood and thoroughly audited. Okay, so that stuff out of the way. Then I have 3 goals for this talk. Goal 0 is to impart at least some sharp audience members that the year 21 is partly here now, so that Perl hackers can learn to use 21 shell and Perl color variables effectively and efficiently. That's the main goal of the talk. The second one is to convey that every letter, punctuation mark, character, symbol, shape, etc., should be eventually well understood as bigger and better than numbered quantities 0 to 9. That's a stretch, and it's a more medium-term goal, but that 0 to 9 is decimal numbers, and they're vastly inferior to representation of larger and more comprehensive quantities and numeration that's based more in nature and digital computers, particularly for programmers, but also like the way that living organisms have cellular division. They're doing doublings, and decimal doesn't do that. When you cut a 10 in half, you get 5. When you cut 5 in half, you don't have integers anymore. But you can keep taking 16 and half it and half it and half it down to 1, or double it and double it. And so like that's goal 2 is longer, and we're not going to get much into that. And I mean, goal 1 was that. And the other one is, well, I already touched on that eventually it would be rad to collaborate with people to deprecate decimal, because decimal notation seems to have caused a lot of death and suffering throughout the history of human civilization. And I think it's a hard sell, obviously, but we should abandon decimal and adopt at least octal, if not dozenal. Dozenal has really good properties too, but hexadecimal, if you're familiar with HTML, is vastly superior to decimal. So that's longer term stuff. Okay, so now we can get into my main material. So this is a 40 by 12 text terminal window that I just made a really simple curses script that would display the title blackjack and just number the remaining columns that aren't being used for the block. But so if you notice in the second column here, there are 10 uppercase letters. The middle 8 are what I call the date bow. And it's like a rainbow, like red, orange, yellow, green is already probably pretty commonplace to people when they think about rainbows, red, orange, yellow, green. And so you just use the uppercase letter for the bright versions. And then the other 4 that I use are CBMP for cyan, blue, magenta, and purple. And they all have uppercase forms that are bright, lowercase forms that tend to be darker. And then if you have K for black at the top and W or at the left, K, since B is already taken for blue and you're familiar probably with HTML and RGB, RRGGBB in hexadecimal for cascading style sheets, or HTML with a #sign or octothorpe, a hash symbol usually before the 3 or 6 hexadecimal digits that you can specify colors in more typically. 8 bits per RGB, so 24-bit color, or for a nibble or half of a byte for each of the hex digits, and pairs of them to describe each of the color channels for a composite color. And so B is taken by blue, RGB. And if you're familiar with print media, there's a standard called CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, black. And K is commonplace for black in like magazines and billboards and t-shirt printing and other stuff. So RGB and CMYK get you 7. If you add O for orange and P for purple, you're at 9, and you just need then W for white, and you've got your base 10 colors. The bright ones are the ones that are most useful, and if you can remember them, and the special exception that black is K and B is already taken by blue, then these 10 uppercase colors, you can export them from, here, let me see, G X L BJ dot Z shark, boom. And I should do it in a different one. This one's too big. G is an alias I have for grep, or a shell function, actually. You can see here. So it's simple, but G X L B oh, it's coming out. Well, let me do so you can see here that these are the lines that do the exporting of like these 4 in the middle. Have the primary, there's a special exception for the dark blue that you can see in the middle. I put a uppercase S before that because even though it works in shell, if you export these and you want to use them in any aliases or shell scripts that you have, because then they can be found in your shell environment. And they also work almost identical syntax in Bash RC. So if you like use these, they should work the same in, I have literal escape characters, but you can use \E to generate the escapes instead of having a literal one in the config files. But for some certain expansion situations, like if you're using them in the generation of your prompt or something, the point at which they do expansion might change, or whether it's handling the \escapes correctly. So sometimes the literal is more effective. It looks like a caret left square bracket, but it's actually a single character in Vim, and you can use it literally. But then when you do like a grep on it and it comes back out to your shell, then it'll read the literal and the code right away, and read it as an escaped colored code that isn't the text of the config file that you were looking for to grep. That's why I opened the file instead of I tried to set up comments so that I could do like export, and L is 21. Like if you see in my clock down in the lower right here. Oh, I missed. I'm so fast. The L is the year, 6 is the month, 9 is the day, M is the time zone, then hour, minute, second, and 60th of a second. And my Vim generates that for the last time it did an update, and the start point in a dark red. So I added those. Oh, escape. So here's the way that they're exported. The up SB is special because Perl uses $A and $B, the lowercase a and b, for all the sorts that it performs. And the sort function is using a global low A and low B. And so that's way more important. Sometimes if you try to use B for other purposes in Perl, anything that happens to sort like other modules you're using, they'll get screwed up, or they'll screw up your colors if you try to use it. So stay away from $low A and $low B. Leave them for all the sort purposes that Perl needs. And that's why this one's special at 2 characters, up S, low B, in the shell also, so that it can be consistent in Perl and shell. But dark blue background I use for the status bar in my Vim down here, and I customize it so that it's a good deal darker and closer to black than the normal dark blue would be in the default settings of them. But so here's the way that they're exported. The way that they're done in the Perl-Module, so lib Octology b8.pm in I have a whole bunch of exports of them, mainly right here. So $Z is the special 0 reset. That's why it's 21 colors in this talk. There's the date bow, which is red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta, purple. There's 4 and 4 of the date bow that are used in the colors for year, month, day, hour, minute, second, fast. Fast is like a phase or a pass. It's a hybrid of phase and pass. And PHASS, it's a 60th of a second, kind of like fighting game frame rates on video on PlayStation and stuff, or AC/DC alternating current frequency, 60 hertz. It's 60th of a second, and so it gives you pretty high resolution, sub-second precision, 0.0167 seconds per fast. And with the date encoding, I'll show you the expanded form too. Here, let me pull my other. Oh, and it's hiding. Let me get that guy out of the way. I have another version of the clock in one of my other screens on my other windows, and you can see that it toggles bold each time that it updates, and so does the original one. But so you can set it up to have both at once, and you can change the update speed too. So now it's doing minimal, it's drawing as fast as it can, and you can see the fastest go pretty fast. They're really fast. 60ths of a second are very, very short. Most human activities take a good deal longer than a 60th of a second. The way that date works, it can describe over 1,000 years, from like anything that happened in 1489 until anything that happens in 2511. You can have 60th of a second precision in any time zone for that 1,023 year span, and in only 8 characters. And because they're organized with a few exceptions for the special cases of the years, they are in descending order of the size of the fields. So since year comes first, and then month, and then day, if you do normal sorting of the characters, like if you use them in a consistent position in file names or something, just a regular sort will be chronological in most cases. And if not, it's easy to manipulate so that it will be. So that there's a good deal more trickery in the Perl code to do the exporting, because there's a lot of support for a whole bunch of extra options. But here's the main structure that is used to map the, so like here's the main ones that are not including the escape. The CSI is the code for having the escape character, and then the left square bracket as the opening for the ANSI standards of color encoding. And then they include decimal digits, semicolon separated for all of the color specification that's part of the ANSI Escape coding mechanism for having coloration. And then you follow it with an M. And you could also use it for other text attributes besides just colors. But most of the colors are mutually exclusive, and a lot of the text attributes, they're called SGR, or Select-Graphic-Rendition. And up here is my mapping of the SGRs to letters, which they didn't originally have. Same with my system for the coloring, that I set up names for all the colors based on abbreviations of the expanded name of the color, and map them to the ANSI codes so that you can use the color names instead of needing to know any of the decimal indices that they were allocated with. It's like it's got a lossless conversion system. And I've done this where I've made 4 different layers. So up F is for foreground and low B is for background, but those are implicit or implied by the things that can handle all of the 256 colors that modern terminal programs like GNOME Terminal and Sakura, and there's a whole bunch, QTerm, and of course Xterm 256, and a library called VTE that is pretty commonplace and standardized and has a great many functions, and regularly gets new, better abilities too. So I can show a tsgr will show the mapping I've made for all of, and it demonstrates them, that you can see on the left are the original decimal codes that each of the SGR attributes bound to, and the right is just showing the date stamp of when you can see that the fastest are ticking by every 2 or 3 or whatever, 1 or 2. But so I've made up the letters that map to it, so you don't need to use the decimal numbers, and they can be combined and stuff in a little trickier way than the colors. But you barely ever need these. They're useful once in a while, but for the most part, they're inessential and not. Here's a map of all the 256 as they're allocated initially, and it's just a reference, but there's others that are available to you. So let's see. So I think I've shown the exporting from Z shell and Bash RC works almost identically. Like in most cases, the syntax for exporting the variables from Z shells .shrc file can be identical in .bashrc in your home directory. And when your bash shell starts up, like I can show you that mine is almost identical and uses the same stuff in my prompt. And like I can do echo ABC dollar red bright red up R DEF dollar orange GHI dollar Z reset, and you can see that it uses the default green text color for the ABC that was just following right off my prompt that sets green, and then the R sets red for the DEF and orange for the GHI, and then Z resets it. If I put other text beyond it, it would be back to the 0 normal. But normally you can just set a color in your strings, and you may need curly braces around it if you wanted to make the R right next to the D, so that it would curly brace before the R and a closed curly brace after. So it would only interpret the R as the variable name and not RDEF. But if you space separate them, that's not necessary. So it's minutia, but it's worth knowing about. So this is my Bash and Z shells look pretty similar, and mostly function the same way. But a whole lot of stuff is in my Z shell config file that hasn't made its way into my bash RC yet. So if you want to try Octology out or any of this stuff from my repository, just be warned that bash is lagging pretty significantly behind Z shell, but eventually I'll sync them up again soon, hopefully soon. And I don't use bash much, but it's probably good since it's the default and common standard that many people rely on every day. So I'd like to try to support it too.
Hi, Pip, you're watching the 20-minute window. If you want to wrap it up and answer a few questions, you still have a few minutes to do that.
Oh yeah. So there's like I have a dict command that shows how to use a whole bunch of them, like colon I see bang and oh wait oh, I don't need to, yeah. Why is it not working? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It used to work, but okay. So anyway, this is an example of using a whole lot of the variables. And it shows that it's just doing a whole bunch of regexes using the $1 and then the colors, and they align, they match to their two. And there's a bunch of usages. So like this is calling it, and the normal dictionary output is colorless, and you can do reformatting in the regexes too. And my dictionary dic command that calls dict does reformatting and coloration of this stuff. So like it's one of the best examples where it reformats and heavily colors all sorts of stuff. And there's a built-in with dict called color it, and it's weak. And mine is way better, and so it should be easy if you just like focus on the main 21 of $Z to reset the 0 and the lowercase 10 and the uppercase 10. You can use them in shell scripts, and like I have CLRZ goes through the shell ones, and you can put them in Perl scripts too. What's pretty neat is that you can use like BJ will show which BJ or Pew is it's an alias to the blackjack little script that I have that runs through blackjack hands and sets up 3 players with purses and a dealer with a purse, and then runs through pseudo random card allocation for all the players and scores them up, and then says whether they win against the dealer or not, and then tabulates what their purse is at the end. And it's piped through. Normally it doesn't like BLLAK. Okay.
Pip, we're running out of time
okay,
here.
Cool.
So.
Well, yeah. So like the variables are pretty easy, and there's a whole bunch of other abilities that are more advanced but rarely needed. So please adopt these 20 colors. Like export them from your shells and export them or put them in export OK at least, and specify that you want them in your Perl code, and you can just embed them in your strings anywhere. And it's pretty rad to be able to put regexes and do your captures and stuff and have $129 and the color code's also 1 character so that they can all align up with /x at the end of your regexes. It's powerful and it's easy and it's expressive, and if you need more advanced stuff, Octology does it. So hopefully this is a good introduction, and if anybody has any questions or comments or feedback or whatever, please email me on pip@cpan or pipstuart@gmail.com. And I'd really like to get feedback and help people to be more colorful and more expressive in their code, and have it be intuitive and efficient. And unambiguous and stuff too. So thanks everybody for attending my talk, and hope you enjoy the whole rest of the conference. And I'd love to hear whatever any of your opinions are about anything you've seen, or if you have any questions,